What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drive for Show DFS for Dough here on Rotogrinders. Happy to be with you as we are each and every week, breaking down the upcoming golf tournament. And we'll have to put a little lipstick on the pig this week to make this one seem a little exciting, with the U.S. Open coming up next week and kind of a bare spot on the calendar, a new event this week. So we will have to see, what we can do to make this a little bit exciting after last week's pretty exciting finish at the Memorial with Patrick Cantlay and Colin Morikawa going into a playoff and Cantlay pulling it out. So we've got just a two-man booth here for you tonight. I am Justin Van Zuiden. I will be hosting the show. Tambo is out tonight, so he should be back next week. But we've still got Mr. Notorious Derek Farnsworth with us. And Noto, how was last week for you?
Yeah, ended up being a pretty good week. I had 0 John Rahm, so finally on the right side of the coin on that one. Just a crazy story. I mean, having him play the entire round and then telling him just right when he walks off the fringe on 18, he had a 6-shot lead, looking like he was pretty much a shoe-in to win the tournament. I got a feel for him. Kind of sucked. We still got a good finish, which is always good. We got another playoff. And yeah, I think Morikawa got a little unlucky too. We had a bunch of rain right before the playoffs started. He hits the fairway on the second playoff hole, I think. And then he had a mud on his ball. It ended up just diving right into that bunker, unable to get it up and down. But yeah, it helped me out. So props to Patrick Cantlay. Ended up being a decent week for me. How did you do?
Yeah, it was okay. Not the best, but I had some ROMs that wouldn't have made a huge difference. I checked through my lineups at the end of the first round, and I had 55% of my lineups, I think, were at 6 of 6 at that time. And the field was at like 20. So I was feeling, a lot of the chalk was above the cut line, but I was at about 55%. And the field was at 20. And I ended up, I can't remember how many lineups I did, 50 maybe. Not a single 6 of 6 lineup after the second round was over. The second round was just absolutely brutal. Had a lot of guys in my player pool that missed the cut by 1 or 2 strokes. And that was the difference for me. So I had some Cantlay, I had some Rahm, but it seemed odd to me. If they knew that Rahm tested positive, why would they let him finish this third round if you're not going to let him play in the final round, even by himself? It just seemed odd.
From what I heard, they wanted to, double test it or whatever. And then they didn't know until 20 minutes before he was done. But,
okay.
I mean, I didn't get that. I didn't get that, they told him in front of the cameras and, right in front of everyone, just take him in the tunnel. He was like, 20 yards away from it. So I didn't think they handled it particularly well, but, Rahm was all class. Saw what he put out on Twitter and Instagram. So I got to think, he's going to be back for the U.S. Open. He's not going to have much time to prepare. Who knows what his home setup's like, but he is going to have to quarantine. I think he's going to be able to, go to the course the day before it starts. So he's going to be the favorite. Torrey Pines is one there. And maybe the golf gods will be, shining on him a little brighter at the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty tough way to go out. It's not like you were 6 shots back, you were 6 shots ahead. And then to have, have it out of your control, it is what it is. And he knew he had a close contact with somebody who's COVID positive. So, we don't need to get into the political debate about whether or not you should get the vaccine, and that's it, his choice. And it sounds like he's gotten it now, but a little too late to, go back and change last week. And that's just, those are the rules. And it sucks for Rahm and anybody who, had him on their rosters last week, but those are the breaks that happen sometimes. So a lot of the sports books did pay out winning bets on him just because he was ahead by so much, as kind of they certainly weren't required to do that, but a good faith gesture there. So if you had a Rahm ticket, you were probably still okay on most sports books. But other than that, it was, it was kind of, and we had talked about on the show last week that maybe the course would play a little bit in between where it had played 2 years ago plus, and the year before where it played pretty easy. And that's kind of about how it shook out when all was said and done. A couple of easier scoring rounds on the weekend with not a lot of wind. So any other takeaways from the event last week for you?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like course history really a big deal when it comes to Muirfield Village. A lot of guys that, Morikawa had won there before, Cantlay had won there before, Rahm had won there before, and they were all in the top three. So something to keep in mind moving forward. Brandon Grace continues to play well. And then Ricky Fowler, another strong finish. I was a little bummed to see him not qualify for the U.S. Open. I think he was one shot out of getting into that playoff. But I did see Phil Mickelson today. He had the exemption into the U.S. Open, and he's wanting them to give it to Ricky. So I don't know if they, put that exemption into the sectional qualifying or what they're doing with it, but maybe there's still a small chance Ricky gets in.
Yeah, and there are plenty of talking points here that, next week is the U.S. Open, and I mentioned at the top, it's 3,000 miles away at Torrey Pines, and you had a lot of these guys that went out and played 36 holes on Monday in these U.S. Open qualifiers. So there are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 players still in the field that did end up qualifying for the U.S. Open. And there could be some withdrawal risk there or not carrying too much risk. So Peter Malnati and Sung Kang have both already withdrawn as of the time we are taping this, so they are out. The other golfers who did qualify on Monday for the U.S. Open that would seemingly be at elevated risk, some lower level names and some that might get some ownership this week. So I'm just going to read that list so that it's out there for the people to digest, and then I'll get your thoughts on how you're handling it. But here's the list: Patrick Rogers, Fabian Gomez, Chris Baker, Bo Hogue, Brian Stewart, John Huh, Sam Ryder, Ches Reavie, JT Poston, Eric Van Rooyen, JJ Spawn, Robbie Shelton, Johnny Vegas, Martin Laird, and Rafa Cabrera Bello. So those are the players who played 36 holes on Monday, qualified for the U.S. Open. They will have to travel west next week, that are still officially, as of Tuesday night, listed in the field here for the Palmetto Championship this week. And we'll get into the course and the event here in a second. But just in general, your thoughts on how to handle those players that might have qualified through that grueling qualifying tournament on Monday.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be watching, the WD list up to Thursday. But I mean, half the field, I believe 77 golfers ended up trying to qualify. And it's not like, that name that you read off, it's not like these guys have like the best status on tour right now. I mean, those are a lot of guys that are just trying to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. So I don't think, they're going to, have less motivation to play well. And with half the field pretty much trying to qualify, I think I'm not really doing anything with it. If they're in the field, I think if you like them, play them. I just don't think we should overthink it. Far too often we do these, narrative-based decisions, and then it just turns out you should just play the guys that you like.
Yeah, just keep an eye on that field headed into Thursday morning. I'm sure there might be some more withdrawals. There have already been a ton of field changes for this event, and all told, a pretty weak field from top to bottom here. So let's go ahead and get ready to dig in. And this is a new event, the Palmetto Championship, replacing the RBC Canadian Open because the tour cannot go to Canada right now with the COVID travel restrictions. So we've got this event as a one-off new course in South Carolina, par 71, long yardage on the scorecard, but seems like it's probably not going to play quite that long. So this is just it's an interesting kind of one-off event here the week before a major. So we were talking about it just a little bit before we came on the show here, but your thoughts on what the course is going to be like this week? What can we compare it to? And, how do we expect it to play?
Yeah, so it's Congaree Golf Club. You mentioned in South Carolina, par 71, 76.55 yards on the scorecard, which seems very long. And the course looks awesome. If you haven't looked at pictures of it on the PGA Tour site or taken, one of the virtual tours of the things on, I believe they have it on Golf Digest and YouTube. It's a pretty cool course. It kind of looks like Kiowa Island a little bit. I've heard a lot of people compare it to Pinehurst number 2. and also to the Australian Sandbelt courses, and Royal Melbourne and those types of courses over there. So it is very linksy feel to it, very open off the tee, not a lot of rough, not a lot of trees, and a ton of sand areas, kind of a waste bunker areas. So the fairways should be fairly easy to hit. Guys that have played the course before, I've heard a lot of quotes saying, it doesn't play nearly as long as it says on the scorecard. The fairways here are like concrete, and the greens are very firm and fast, but there has been a lot of rain in the area. One of the golfers that lives in the area said, the greens are spinning a lot more than usual, and you're not getting quite as much rollout on the fairways. So that's just something to keep in mind as we head towards Thursday. Assuming there's no, rain until then, I do think it'll probably play really firm and fast. The big question to me is how tough it's going to play. Typically, they set it up a little bit easier the first time that we see the course, but this is a one-off event, so guys aren't coming back. So if they want to trick it up and make it really difficult on the golfers, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. But it should be a fun course. I'm not putting too much thoughts into golf or course fit. I'm not looking at bombers or strictly short game guys. I do think the European Tour guys will have a slight advantage in terms of, they've played a lot of these courses over on the European Tour. And then, the field is just so weak that I don't really know what to do from a lineup construction standpoint. Got a couple of big names at the top, and there doesn't seem to be a ton of separation from guys in the 6Ks and 7K range. So perhaps it's a stars and scrubs type of week. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the course and lineup construction?
Yeah, it's difficult to figure how it's going to play until we see it in action. I mean, I think that you're probably going to see it be a little bit challenging simply because if it is firm and fast and balls aren't holding on the greens quite as much. The course folks have come out and said that they want to place a priority on guys who can chip and scramble. So that makes it seem like it's not going to be one of these 25 under events, but these PGA Tour golfers are so good now that it's tough to say until we see it for a round or two how it's going to play in action. As far as lineup construction goes, yeah, I think stars and scrubsy is perfectly fine. I mean, because the value is so weak. I mean, even in the 7Ks, it gets a little bit ugly. So why not go for a little bit more win equity at the top? So I probably will lean a little more stars and scrubs. The problem is all of the stars are like guys who you would worry about the most because of next week, or, DJ and Koepka at the top, who both have injury concerns on top of the, next week. So it makes it a real challenge as far as lineup construction. And, we could probably, obviously stalling a little bit here off the top because we can probably get through the whole field in about 15 minutes, particularly without Tambo here, who's not going to give us, some of his off the wall value plays this week. So it's really tough. I mean, you're going to be able to go through the 6 and 7K range in a hurry because of all the all the replacements. We're already down to like the 9th or 10th alternate in field changes right now. So it's going to be a challenge for sure.
What's your prediction for the 6-6 percentage this week?
Well, see, it is a 156 golfer field, so it's naturally harder to get 6-6. You're probably going to see somebody that's somewhat popular get off to a bad start and say, I'm going to head out to Torrey early. There's going to be somebody that withdraws, it's +5 through 10 holes or something. And there's probably going to be a couple chalky guys that maybe they're just working on things, trying things, I think it's going to be pretty low this week. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see, let's see, I'll throw 4% out there.
Ooh, I like it. We've had a really chalky 6-6 last couple of weeks, so I like the weeks. Well, at least
except
when
for
I
my
have...
0 last week, that wasn't very good.
You brought the average down. This week you'll bring it up. So yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be pretty low, and it's a good week to be contrarian because number one, we don't know the golf course, and we kind of similar to that event in Texas that we had a couple of weeks ago, AT&T Byron Nelson. I think everyone's just kind of grabbing onto narratives like guys that live in the area, guys have said they've played the course once or twice, and so just random guys get chalky. We don't really know how it's going to play. It's just a good week to be contrarian overall, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a good point this week with the uncertainty and the new course and all that goes along with it. So we can go ahead and start digging in, I guess, in the top range. I mentioned you've got Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka, who obviously have the most track record of anybody in this field. And then we got Matt Fitzpatrick and Tyrrell Hatton, which only 4 golfers above 10K on DraftKings, which is different than normal. Usually we've got 6 maybe, or 1 right at 10K. And then, so we've only got 4 this week. We mentioned that stars and scrubs might be a little more viable. Our ownership on these golfers is pretty high just because of a lot of people taking that narrative and the fact that we've only got 4 guys here as opposed to 5 or 6. So I guess let's start with, you mentioned possibly liking the guys with experience on the Euro Tour. All 4 of them really. DJ and Koepka even have some experience over there. Obviously Fitzpatrick and Hatton do. But what do you make of DJ and Koepka? You know, both guys that have been injured over the last few months, not really hiding it either, and the week before a major.
Yeah, so DJ's form, obviously a big concern. Hasn't been great. It's really been his irons and his around the green that haven't been popping recently. But from South Carolina, obviously, the best, most talented golfer in the field. He's going to be pretty popular, it looks like. But I looked at his, some of his results the week before majors. He has a couple of wins. He has quite a few withdrawals, some before the event, some during the event, which is always worrisome. And then he's got some miscuts in there too. So very hit or miss, results right before majors. And then, Brooks, he actually plays really well before the majors. I think he has, 3 or 4 top 5 finishes in his last 6 starts, something like that. 3 second place finishes, I want to say, a couple of the St. Jude. Obviously played great at the PGA Championship. We got the Brooks and Bryson beef going on, so maybe he's got a little bit more motivation. I think for MME, I'm going to try to get overweight on all 4 of these guys. I mentioned the stars and scrubs approach. And if you look at the Vegas odds, their implied total for the top 4 guys is to win the event is 40%. So that's pretty high.
That's pretty high.
Obviously, those are juiced a little bit. I think usually when you add it all up, there's like 150%, win equity, just because that's the juice that they're taking on their bets. But that's pretty high. So I like all 4 of them. Fitz and Hatton, you got the Euro Tour. And they obviously got really good short games. Fitz second in this field, strokes gained putting, 21st around the green. Hatton really good with the irons, hits a ton of fairways. So yeah, I like all of them. If I'm playing one of them, I think I'm going to go with Fitz. He currently has the lowest projection of the 4, and he's been playing great up till last week. Just missed a cut on the number, so not too worried about
that. Somebody in the chat mentioned your hat, and I can't tell in our little window here what you got on for a hat.
It's a Travis Matthew hat, golf hat.
All right. Well, there you go. You got a shout out from Carmen in the chat. Yeah, I mean, it's, you talk about the win equity of those guys. That's a big number, and 4 golfers having a 40% ish plus win equity. And people are going to be worried about DJ. They're going to be worried about Brooks. And, the issue with fading them here is it's such a weak field that, they could bring their B game and still contend, or even maybe their C game. So I think Hatton probably has the best combination of safety and upside. He's not going to pack it in. That's not his nature. He's, go out and give it his all every time he's out there. So, but ownership, correlates to that as well. He's probably going to be the highest owned guy in the field. So I do like Hatton. And we'll probably have exposure, to most of them. Brooks worries me a little bit with the injury. So might stay away there, but I don't mind getting some exposure to the others. Your boy Harris English is back at 9,900 this week.
I was going to say, part of the reason why I like the 10K golfers so much is everyone in the 9s just feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel great clicking any of their names.
Yeah, I mean, that's naturally a function of these weaker fields, the 9K range, the 8K range. They're going to feel overpriced simply because the sites have to fill them up. So
yeah, like DJ is going to be this price in any field,
right?
And everyone else is just like 20-25% more expensive than usual.
Yeah, I mean, you got English hasn't been playing as well over the last couple months. Sung J M seems to miss the cut on the number every week, including last week, where he was in the top 10 after the first round and contributed to my 0-6-6 lineups by tanking on Friday afternoon and missing the cut by 1 for, I believe, the second event in a row. But he's had a lot of miscuts on the number or by 2 over the last couple of months. So the form not necessarily as bad as his results may look. Fleetwood, we haven't seen as much success from him. on the on U.S. soil. And it looks like Poulter and Patton Kazire are going to be somewhat popular as well. And then there's the Euro Tour name that has been Twitter darling over the last few months, and Garrick Higo. No discount on him at 9K. I do like him, but he's not cheap. So if he was like 7 something, he'd be the most popular play of the week. So yeah, it's tough to completely endorse any of these guys. I'll probably let myself get burned by Sung Jae yet again because he seems so close. But what are you looking at in here?
Yeah, I think I'm out on Harris English for now. I played him for 2 years straight, so I think I can take a break here. He's lost strokes ball striking in 6 of his last 8 events, which doesn't feel great. I like the Sung Jae pick quite a bit. He loves Bermuda greens. We always talk about that. And if you want to use the Royal Melbourne comp, the President's Cup 2019 was played there. He was awesome at that President's Cup. So I like getting back on Sung Jae. Tommy Fleetwood, you mentioned the middling finishes here in America, but more of a Euro Tour type of course. So I'll have some Fleetwood. You can kind of make the same argument for Ian Poulter. He's been playing a little bit better recently, finally gained some strokes with the irons. It is a Ryder Cup year. He's going to have to make a really strong push if he wants to make the team. So yeah, give me Sung Jae and the Euros here. I'm not going to play Kazire. Just feels a little overpriced for me. You can get into some real trouble if you spray it here, and he is not very accurate off the tee. So even though the fairways are wide, I do think he can get in some trouble here. And Higo, yeah, I want to play him. He's very long off the tee. He's the best putter on the European Tour right now. He did make the cut at the PGA Championship. So I don't love the price point, but ownership's not too bad. So he's kind of a give and take there.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider that Alex Noren is 99 or 8,900 and Keith Mitchell is 8,800, and we've been playing Mitchell in like the 6Ks for a year, and he's 8,800, and he's going to be like double-digit percentage owned. Options are a little thin, so I don't mind Higo at 9K. I really don't love a whole lot in the 8K range. Glover's been playing some pretty good golf. Varner, statistically, Varner stands out, and I'm shocked that he's only 8,500 in this field. And it correlates to the odds. I think his odds are a little longer than I would have expected to. And we're going to get down once we get to the bottom end of this 8K range. We start to get down into the golfers that qualified for the U.S. Open, so we'll have to send out a reminder on those. But Varner feels like the chalk in here. Hard to ignore him at 8,500. But your thoughts on this range?
Yeah, Glover and Varner are probably going to be very popular. Glover said he's played the course before, so naturally that's going to boost his ownership by 5 to 10% this week. And he's been in pretty good form. And again, I just think it's a good week to be contrarian. I'll probably be underweight on Glover. Varner continues to play well, never seems to pop when he's chalky for whatever reason, but the stats all line up. He was on the Subpar podcast this week, and he's a character, man. If you want to listen to that, it's a good time. So I don't mind the chalk there, but Keith Mitchell is actually a member at this course. A lot of people are talking about Glover playing it and a couple other guys, but apparently Mitchell is a member. I haven't heard that narrative out there as much this week. I know he's 8,800. My model absolutely hates him. 52nd ranked golfer in my model for the week. So he's overpriced for sure, but I'll have some shares. And then I like Noren, top 25s in 4 of his last 5 events. So don't mind looking to him. Snedeker's playing a little bit better. I think Vegas is going to be pretty popular if people, play the bomber narrative. He is one of the better guys off the tee. But yeah, I mean, Russell Knox is 8,200. What are we doing here?
I am out. I'll tell you, I'm out on Vegas this week. He not only qualified in the U.S. Open qualifier, he was in the qualifier that got delayed by weather and did not even finish till today, Tuesday. And then it went to a 5-for-4 playoff. So he's played a lot of golf in a short period of time. That worries me with him at 8,300, especially given his general volatility. Anyway, I got to circle back to this because I don't want our friend Jeff in the chat to miss out. But I've never seen this before, so I'm going to throw our guess the golfer game out there now, and guess the golfer favorite punt value of the week. That Noto brought up before the show, 2% owned, under 2% owned. Nobody's going to play him. but we've already had a question about him, and then that just amazes me. So we're going to give away that free week of Rotogrinders Premium now, and then maybe we can double dip later and give out another prize or something. But guess the golfer, favorite punt value this week, and then we'll get back into it here. But just amazed that I saw the name already. So yeah, Knox is 8,200. What are we doing here? And he's going to be like owned to some degree, which is just strange. That's why I'm going to say, like, even in my player pool, I'm going to have, maybe 2 guys from the 8Ks, and that's about it. Maybe 3. But I can't play Mitchell at that price. Noren is going to be somewhat chalky. I can't fade Varner, but I just don't like a lot in here. I mean, you look at guys like Redmond, that haven't been playing well. So anything else above 8,000?
I mean, Knox has gained on approach in 9 straight. I'll probably have a little bit, definitely overpriced, but so was everyone else. Scott Stallings rates out decently well for me. He's been pretty good, top 10 in this field on approach. But yeah, it's a pretty ugly 8K range. Wes Bearden in the chat said John Rollins is showing up top 15 in his model. I think your model's broken, not to be rude. He's missed 10 cuts in a row, and I think he is just doing the PGA Tour live coverage at this point. So he hasn't even played, very much recently. So I wouldn't be playing some John Rollins, but it is a weak field, so you never know.
It's just so strange. Like, guys at the bottom, when you start, one guy was like the 9th alternate, probably had no thought that he would get in, and then declined the spot once he made it. And it's been a brutal week for trying to keep up with the projections and making sure we got the right names in lineup HQ. And we're good as of now, but there could still, it wouldn't shock me if there's 3 or 4 more changes on Wednesday. So
where's the panda? We need the panda.
Norman Zhang is gonna be back. Yeah, these are the type of events where weird stuff happens. Like Roger Sloan is going to win this week, and nobody would be surprised. It's just, that's what happens here. But all right, I digress a little bit. Again, Vegas is one of the guys that qualified for the U.S. Open. Martin Laird, Cabrera Bello, JT Poston, those are some guys in the higher end of the 7K range that qualified that may have some risk. Vincent Whaley has been the chalk du jour value the last couple weeks, and probably will be again, because for some reason he's 7,700 when other guys that are playing as well as he is are in the 8Ks because of their form. So hard to ignore Whaley at 7,700 based on your ratings in our lineup HQ tools here. It looks like Pat Perez is one that you're on in the 7Ks. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, another range I'm not sure what to do. Vincent Whaley, I have yet to play him. He's just been awesome. 9 straight top 40 finishes. Do you think he's like on his way up and we're going to see more out of him, or is this like the ceiling and then he's going to come back down to earth? Because he's a guy that none of us had heard of a couple months ago.
Who's that?
Vincent Whaley.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like it's tough to say, because it's not like his finishes have been like 65th and then 4th and then, 71st. Like, he's been consistent. 20th, 26th, 26th, 29th. I mean, it's not great finishes, but they're all like top 40s. So,
yeah.
I think he could be one of those. He could be one of those like Charles Howell types that plays a lot and gets a lot of top 25s and doesn't win a whole lot. And I mean, I'm sure 99.9% of golfers would take Charles Howell's career. Not that I'm saying that he's going to be, but a reasonable type of comp based on the way he's been finishing tournaments. So it's hard to say. I mean, we haven't seen the upside. He's not getting top 10. So I don't think we've got a star here by any means, but he's done enough at this point to where we got to consider him a cut maker, particularly in a field like this one.
Yeah, I think I agree. This will be the first week I play him, so just heads up for anyone out there. He's sure to miss the cut now. So I do like him. I like Pat Perez. He's made 4 straight cuts. He's gaining on approach in all of them. I think RCB is interesting. If you look at form over the last couple of years, he's not going to really pop in your model. The stats don't look all that good, but Three straight top 40s. He's a guy on the Euro Tour that has been very consistent for very long. So I like him quite a bit. You mentioned he did qualify for next week, but I'm not too worried about that. I think Neesmith's a good pivot in this range if you do want to get off of Whaley Chalk. He's from South Carolina. His irons have been very good. He's gained on approach in 11 of his last 13. He's number one in my model in greens and regulation in this field. So, hopefully he knows something about the course at least. Luke List, he's popular just for one little narrative. He does hold the course record here, so that is naturally bumping his ownership up. And he's been good too to green in his last couple months. So I don't hate him, but just these random little narratives are just leading to such high ownership that I hate it. I do like Ben Martin quite a bit. He's been really good ball striking over the last couple months. Good on the Korn Ferry Tour. Top 35s in 4 of his last PGA Tour starts. So he's a guy I'll look to in this range. That's about it for me.
Yeah, I like Ben Martin as well. I put him in my article this week. Let's see. Yeah, he's at about, we've got him in the low teens in ownership. Vaughn Taylor had a pretty good showing last week at the Memorial. Faded a bit on Sunday, but still a top 15 finish for him. Or top 20 finish rather. And, he's missed more cuts than he's made this year, but he was injured for a while. So, if you're looking for the old cut making type, don't necessarily hate him, mainly because there's just not a lot to love as we start to get into the value range. But, if you've got some conviction on a guy down here, don't be afraid to take a chance and don't be worried about the ownership not being there because, it's just going to be so spread out down here that, I saw somebody in chat say they're on Duffner. It scares them. Well, frankly, anybody that you're rostering down here is going to scare you a little bit. I mean, Van Rooyen, Bo Hogue. Let's see. I'm trying to look for some of the other guys that qualified for the U.S. Open. And I mentioned the list at the beginning of the show. So you can go back and check that out. Or I also put it in my GPP article on Rotogrinders. If you are a premium subscriber or you want to be, check it out. We can hook you up. And Rotogrinders Premium. Lots of good stuff going on. We got all the sports in action, and we've kind of changed up our premium offerings to where you can do single sport. You can pick the sports you want, or you can do the combo package. That includes everything except NASCAR. So Devin can pop the link in the chat if you are interested. You can check it out and get $10 off your first month of single sport premium or the combo package. So we get down to the bottom end of the 7K range here on DraftKings, and there's nobody really cracking double digit ownership. Satoshi Kodara is at 9% right now, and I read the narrative on him this morning and now I forget it. What's the narrative on Kodara?
I don't know if there's narrative, but he does have back-to-back top 15s.
Shoot, I think I read. Yeah, I mean the form is decent. I think I read something on him though, and now I don't remember. Anyway, I know he got the old Pat Mayo bump this week too. So somebody in the chat might know. I know there was a narrative on him, but anyway, recent form is good. Got the Mayo bump. So that's why he's somewhat chalky. Everybody else in here, you're looking at pick whoever he wants, 4, 5, 6% guys. Adam Schenk was the guy that could make you a cut and get you 50th for the longest time. Do you love anybody in here?
I don't mind Schenk. He does make a lot of birdies. So the upside from placement, finishing position point isn't too high, but he does make a lot of birdies. Typically outscores his finishing position. I like Seamus Power quite a bit. I'm a little bummed he's got 12% ownership right now. I did 5 different comp courses. I did Kiowa, Harbortown, Quail Hollow, Sedgefield, and TPC Southwind. Either the same Bermuda greens or South Carolina courses, and he's number 2 in this field. He's also coming off of a top 10, so I don't mind looking at him. Other guys, David Lipsky's a name. He's played on the European Tour for a long time. He's an American guy that has been playing over there for years, and then recently went over on the Korn Ferry Tour. He won, got a couple of runner-ups. Now he's got his PGA Tour card, so I'm excited for him to see him on the PGA Tour. I'll have some shares of him this week. Other guys currently in my player pool, Bronson Burgoon. He's made 8 of 10 cuts with a couple top 15 finishes. Piercy's a big name that can, ball strike well. Then at the very bottom, you mentioned Roger Sloan winning, and that honestly wouldn't surprise me. He's been pretty good recently. Doesn't really have a major weakness. He can gain strokes in all facets of his game. So I like that call.
Yeah, he's going to win. We saw we had them both ranked pretty high in the value rankings. So these are the types of events that he can do well in. And, since Tambo isn't here, I had to represent hashtag Team Canada for us this week. So there you go, Roger Sloan. He's 7K, 3% ownership, all aboard. So, all right. Well, we're kind of getting down towards the value range here. I mentioned the guest, the golfer, earlier in the show, and we got some local connections here and a little bit of a narrative there. And somebody in chat was asking about him, so I'll let you talk about him first, Noto, and then we will circle back to the other value options. So your thoughts on our punt play du jour this week?
Yeah, so everyone's talking about the amateurs that just turned pro, John Pock and Davis Thompson. I think they're both going to be fairly popular. I think they're both pretty strong plays from a DFS perspective. I mean, we saw what Hovland and Morikawa and Wolf were all able to do in some of their first starts. So I will be playing them. But one of the guys that's going to go under the radar is Bryson Nimmer. He's actually played 5 or 6 events on the PGA Tour. He has a couple of top 30s in a row. I think one was on the Corn Ferry Tour. Grew up in the area, says he's played it 6 or 7 times. So he knows at least the lay of the land, if you will. 6,300, less than 1% ownership. Yeah, I'll have a few shares at least.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to get a little speculative with some of the players in this range, simply because, a lot of the old guard, the veterans, just aren't high upside options in this price range. You got some guys that qualified for the U.S. Open like and Reeve. I do like Hank Lebioda a lot. I was kind of surprised when I looked. I said he was going to be our guess the golfer answer. And then, I noticed that he was the most popular player under 7K at about 10 to 12% ownership. So I do like Lebioda a lot. I think he's underpriced, but he's not going to be as sneaky as some of the other options in the 6K range. So Pac also generating some ownership here. Again, everybody looking for any reason they can to play somebody down in this range, but you get under 6,500, it gets really, really ugly in a hurry. So are there others that you might keep in an MME pool? I mean, I struggle outside of those 3 or 4 names that we've already mentioned.
Yeah, a couple others. Kramer Hickok, I think somebody brought him up in the chat. He's been a Bermuda specialist, and off the tee approach around the green have all been solid in his last 3 starts. So I'll have him in the player pool. Andrew Putnam, one of the best short games in the field. He's pretty good on approach. So if you don't need distance off the tee, I think he could be interesting. He randomly pops for a lot of top 10s too. So more upside than a lot of the guys here. You mentioned Lebioda. I got him in there. Luke Donald is the name that Pat Mayo brought up. He's gained 13 strokes on approach his last 3 events. He's always been very good out of the sand. Can I interest you in Luke Donald?
No. I mean, I suppose I can be a proper sales pitch. Give me a used car salesman that can probably sell me on anybody in the field. Doesn't take much. I can't play him now. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'm stalling to
Chase Cipher.
I don't mind him, but I've always kind of been a sucker for him all spring, so might as well play some of him in the weak field. So he'll probably be in the player pool, but that's not based on stats. That's just based on trying to make some back with him. So if the event was being held in our annual Puerto Rico stop, or the events that Campos always plays well, heck, this could be the event. Who knows? Campos gonna get a top 10 and then carry it on for a couple weeks. I mean, it's ugly down here. I'm looking at your model ratings to see who happens to pop, and there's really not
much.
There's nobody with a Noto rating above 60 under 6K, or under 6K, under 7K. Let's see who's got the highest. Guys like Wes Roach, Josh Teeter, and Johnny Huh at 60. Boy, that's
those five or those three combined have missed, I think, 12 straight cuts in a row. So that's pretty good.
That's all you need to know. That's the value in 60 seconds right there this week.
What happened to Chez Reavie?
What do you mean? Meaning like
6,800 in this field, and we don't want to play him.
No, I mean he shot like really good. I think he won that big Columbus US Open qualifier where 16 guys got in. I think he won that. So I don't know now if it's just people are scared because of the US Open qualification. I mean, our buddy Wiley on Twitter that joined us a few weeks ago said Chez under 7K, Father's Day came early. So he likes Chez. I don't mind it. I mean, I really don't. At 6,800 in this field, nervous about his US Open qualification or not. I mean, he could play better with his B or C game than a lot of these other values. So not that he's great. He's been great, but heck, winning the US Open qualifier, the most loaded one with a lot of big names, that counts for something. So I don't mind it.
All right. Well, that's it on my end.
That's it. We've drug it out as long as we can drag it out with two of us in this absolutely woeful field of the Palmetto Championship. Let's see, scroll through the chat here. Some comments about many people would be happy to take the career of Charles Howell. Can get on board with that. Gligich. Oh, that's Tambo's lock of the week to bring home the Canada narrative. Let's see. Tambo likes Chez. Tambo is here in spirit via the chat. So Chez is older than old and no bueno these days. He's playing against kids, so there's a chance. That's what Wes says in the chat. So look, if you, like I said earlier, if you like a value play, don't hesitate to go with it and stick to it. I mean, if you get that 2% owned value that finishes 15th, that's going to give you huge leverage on the field. So again, for those of you that missed it, the players who qualified for the US Open that are still in the field this week: Patrick Rogers, Fabian Gomez, Chris Baker, Bo Hogue, Brian Stewart, John Huh, Sam Ryder, Chez Reavie, JT Poston, Eric Van Rooyen, JJ Spawn, Robbie Shelton, Johnny Vegas, Martin Laird, and Rafa Cabrera Bello. Those are the players that are still officially listed in this week's field that have recently qualified for the US Open in the 36-hole Monday, and in one case going into Tuesday qualifiers. So be a little bit nervous about those players if you are at least trusting them with a lot of lineups. So that's going to do it for this week. We've almost made it to about 45 minutes. I'll consider that a victory with the nature of this field. So again, check out our Rotogrinders premium content. Happy to have you join. Get $10 off your first month of single sport or combo premium package. Check out the link that Devin dropped in the chat earlier. Tambo will be back tomorrow night going through lineup HQ with whoever the lucky short straw winner is. That you this week, Noto? Did you draw the short straw? Get and do the
I get a US Open next week.
All right. So it's not me. I did last week, so it's one of the other two guests that we rotate through that drew the straw for this week to do this tournament. But that's okay. It's always a fun show breaking down all our lineup HQ tools. So get yourself that premium subscription and check that out. But otherwise, we will be back here same time, same place next week for the US Open at Torrey Pines. Surely more to talk about then in what will be a much stronger field and the next major of the season. So until next week, for Noto and our producer Devin and Tambo in spirit in the chat, I am Justin. Have a great week, everybody, and good luck.